Mostly be found around Philadelphia, but like you said, a lot of times you'll travel overseas once or twice a year.
That's right, yeah, as much
Right,
as
right. You'll go, you'll travel to other parts of the country. You'll do some touring here and there because basically the horn is what you do. Is that?
Yeah, no. As a performing artist, you have to keep traveling because there's only so many venues in every city, and you got to keep being in people's faces and their ears and their heads and.
Right. Yeah. So I mean,
there's so much stuff online.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That sure, people can follow you online, but
it's not the same.
But because there's so much stuff, it's kind of just all a blur. But when they see you live and they experience you live, then it's like a really personal connection.
Yeah. So that's the key to stalking you would be.
And it's more and more important, I think, these days to have a personal connection because. A lot of people are just living in virtual realities. We gotta.
It's living in
realities.
I guess jazz music isn't something you can just make on your computer.
I don't think so. No. Yeah. Well, any good music, it's very important to experience the vibrations in person, because music is vibration. And, you feel it a little bit through a computer or through a speaker, of course, but it's a different experience than experiencing it live.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am a survivor, I get calls, I get some recognition, and somehow I'm able to keep surviving, doing what I do. Yeah. But I think the actual scene overall is kind of harder in a lot of ways. I'm working more than ever, and I'm not making any more money. Like our pay scale has not risen with the cost of living.
You're lucky to get gas money at this point.
I'm telling you, it's hard, man. So.
Very hard.
Occasionally you get like a festival gig or something like that, and that pays decent money. But the average club gigs are really pretty. Boy,
If you're $5 a head, plus then you pay a sound guy $2 a head, and you got.
Yeah, I mean nowadays you got to pay clubs. You have to rent the club out and then just take the. But there's a lot of people that are surviving, but they're not doing what they want to be doing or what they used to be doing at least. So it's good. I don't know how long it's going to last. None of us do, right? But it's nice to still be doing this every day. The main thing for me is I would just like to be doing more, like really, gigs where I have more creative, artistic freedom to just do what I want to do, and not just like a club gig, like more festivals or concerts where we can really do more. A little bit more high profile and more, reaching a better, a little bit larger audience, a more international audience. I like doing those kind of things. Like touring with my own band, like when we toured with New Ghosts, that was great. I would love to be doing stuff like that more frequently. It's just so hard to arrange, tours like that anymore, unless you have some really serious money behind you or some kind of connection.
Yeah, you need to have your tour support and everything.
Do you know Brewery Town Beats?
No.
On 27th and Girard, they have there's a record store there, and they're really into selling 70s jazz from Philly, like vinyl.
Cool.
And they've been actually selling my records that I couldn't give away 30 years ago are now selling for like $100 a piece.
Oh my gosh,
kind of amazing.
I want one. Wow, that's awesome.
And so this guy has this record store there, Max, and he is trying to really promote Philly music, rock and jazz, all kinds of music from the 70s specifically.
And this is 27th and
27th and Girard. Yeah.
Okay.
And he wants to actually re-release some of that stuff.
That'd be awesome.
And maybe even record some new things.
We got to go to that store.
Yeah. You should definitely
check them out.
I started touring, really doing R&B, even though that was not my main focus of being a musician, but being a horn player, that was a way to survive because, a lot of the R&B bands use horns, and most of the rock bands and stuff weren't back then, It was, and of course I was playing, I went to New York playing, my very first professional gig was with Cecil Taylor, not my first professional, in New York though, and we played at Carnegie Hall, and that was like, I was 20 years old, and I started meeting like all these great jazz musicians, improvising musicians. But, to maintain a career playing that music was very difficult. So everybody that was on that scene was doing other kinds of music, especially R&B for horn players, like I said. That's why this West Philly Orchestra is interesting, because it's mainly a horn band, and there's not a lot of successful commercial bands that are predominantly with horns. So it's fun to be part of a group like that.
It's great. It really is.
But that's how I got into that whole R&B scene, and I toured with quite a few bands back then. I went down south a lot, believe it or not. A lot of the touring was in the South, which was really kind of cool because there was a good live music scene there. Throughout the South, and I got to went out west quite a bit, to the West Coast, and I played a lot in California. I'm going out, like I said, 2 weeks. I'm playing with this great pianist, Don Preston, who was Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention original keyboard player. And he's a very much a pioneer with synthesizers and electronic keyboards and rock music. He was one of the first guys to really to make that bring that whole element into it. And then I'm also, there's a group called Devendra Benhart. There's actually a singer, songwriter, musician, and he has a band. And when they were in Philly this winter, they went to this record store that we told about because they heard an interview that I did online.
Really?
And they knew about this band I played with, Olduvai, back in the 70s. And we recorded an album, and this guy, Max, had copies of my record in the store, and they took a cab in a snowstorm over to the record store to buy this album. So he called me, and I talked to the guys, and they invited me to their show. So I went and saw them. They played at Union Transfer. And some of the members of the band are they're off tour for a few weeks. So in LA, they're going to do some concerts, doing more improvised music. And so they're going to bring me out to do some concerts with them.
Is that what you improvised?
Well, he said that he has some written compositions, but he has sections in the pieces where there's just free improvisation. And because he heard some of the records I did in the 70s that was very much a part of the music that we played, he liked that. And he asked me if I'd be interested in being involved in this project. So I'm going to do that, and I'm also going to play with Don Preston. Then maybe go up north for a few days in San Francisco and Oregon and play a couple of concerts up there.
That's awesome.
So that's, if you're stalking me the next couple of weeks, that's where you got to go.
You got to go to California.
California, maybe Oregon for a few days, and
maybe Europe a couple times a year.
I'm trying to go to Europe again soon. I was there last year, and we recorded an album in Switzerland.
Oh, really?
Nice.
And actually Bern, Switzerland. The band was from Zurich, but we went to Bern, and that came out on Leo Records, which is an English label. And I also was there the year before doing, I did an album in Lisbon, in Portugal.
Oh, Portugal.
And with some Portuguese great jazz musicians. A guy, Luis Lopes, guitar player, and Hernani Faustino, great bass player.
Hernani Faustino?
Gabriel Farandini, I believe his last name is. He's a drummer. And that was the group, it's called the Lisbon Connection. We did this album on GACC Records, which is actually based in Coimbra, Portugal, which is a beautiful city.
Wow.
We also played there as well. And the other one I did in Switzerland with a band. Heinz Geiser is a drummer who was the leader of that band.
Heinz Geiser?
Yeah, he's a great drummer,
Cool
great
name.
jazz drummer. He spent some time in New York over the years and the States, but he's based out of Zurich.
So what's this CD called, this one?
It's his band. It's called it's just like Heinz Geiser, Heinz Geiser 5.
The Heinz Geiser 5. Okay, so that's the one.
It's
what was
on
the other
Leo
one?
Records.
And okay, the other CD was.
The other one is called the Lisbon Connection. That's on
Lisbon
GACC.
Connection. Okay, right, Lisbon Connection.
GACC is that label. Yeah, we used to play Dobbs all the time.
Before it was legendary?
Well,
That's
it's simply JC.
It was JC Dobbs, right?
George Thorogood was playing there a lot.
Everybody was playing it. Man, I was on stage there one time we were playing, and Courtney Love got on stage with us. She was very drunk.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
And she was playing Lollapalooza the next day. So she just came and got up on stage and grabbed the mic, so we just accompanied her for
Oh, that's awesome.
about an hour.
Nice.
About an hour.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. She
Whoa.
was like
She would do that with Faith No More back in the day. So I guess she must have thought you guys as being very Faith No More-esque.
Well, we were doing like spoken word. There was a poet. Actually, we were performing at Lollapalooza too. There was a poet named Frank Messina that I used to work with, and he's in New York, and he had a band called Spoken Motion.
Okay.
And we were invited to play at Lollapalooza, and then they had it was a pre-party, the party the night before they had the gig, and so all the bands came and hung out at Dom's. This was before it was legendary. We were making it legendary.
Any other nomenclature known as nature, for acts of greater or lesser divine nation, celebration of all facts and theories of creation stirs a sensation, regardless of the evidently apparent situation that we are what we hear, and hear what, and hear what we are. Very hard, cold facts and verse, sweaty quartet, for the end of time, for the being, an eye for an eye, let's all sing, to vie for the